Good evening. Welcome to Journeys with Judy. We are here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania for our special birthday edition. We're here with Lloyd Runkle, the birthday boy. Before we get started though, I wanted to thank everybody for checking in, sending love, light, healing energy to Jen. She is doing well. The face is coming along, not as quickly as she wishes, but any improvements, small improvements, are all greatly appreciated. So thank you again for your love, support, and healing. We are here tonight with Lloyd. He is sharing out the show now. But those of you that have watched know that Lloyd and I go back a couple years. And he is my brother of light. And I'm super excited to be here on his birthday to interview him. We're going to find out. The last time you saw Lloyd, he was with Leslie, and we found out about their relationship and the store and how it all came about. Tonight we're going to find out about Lloyd, how Lloyd became the holy man you see sitting in front of you.
Oh, they didn't tell me that part.
Oh yeah, we're gonna hear it all.
Maybe. All right, I shared it.
All right. Yeah, when we came in, we were moving stuff around, and there was a box of Kleenex on this table, and he goes, "You can move those. I'm not going to need them." I was like, "I don't know. Maybe we should keep them close."
That light is really bright.
It is bright.
Is that not bright enough? Kind of dark.
It's actually better.
Better?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. So, Lloyd, happy birthday, first of all.
Thank you.
Have you had a good day?
I have.
So far, so good?
Yep.
Excellent.
Every day's good.
Every day is a good day. Thank you so much for having us out to your store again.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Of course. We're going to go ahead and get started.
Okay.
All right? Where were you born and raised?
I was born in York, Pennsylvania. I was raised in Spring Grove, Pennsylvania. Yeah,
And you lived here all your life?
I have.
Okay. Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a sister, Kathy Runkle Humpert. Yeah, I think that's her name now, yeah. And then I have a stepsister, Jenny. And Gordy's my stepbrother.
Excellent. Now, is Kathy older than you?
Kathy is older than me.
Okay.
She's 50.
All right, so, let's go in order. It's
Jenny, Kathy,
Kathy.
Gordy, and me. I'm the baby.
Oh, you are the
I'm the
baby.
baby.
I didn't realize Gordy was older than you too.
Mhm.
Ah, you are the baby. That explains a lot.
I was going to say, that can't come as a surprise.
How would you describe your childhood?
Full of unconditional love.
Okay.
And I start with that because one thing that we knew growing up is we were always loved. No matter what we did, there was never any doubt that we would be loved. And that was by everybody. Our grandparents, parents. It wasn't all roses though, you know. There was
Okay.
definitely some life lessons that were there. My parents were divorced when I was 11. It was a very volatile relationship, you know, and we grew up in that. So yeah, you know, there were a lot of things to learn, and a lot of that is what formed me into the man that I was, because I didn't want to grow into the same situations.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, but definitely unconditional love.
Excellent. So what is your fondest childhood memory?
When I read that question, it was like there were so many.
Okay.
You know, from going to the beach with family, to going fishing with my grandpa Runkle, to going hunting with my grandpa Mummert. There's just so many. you know, picking corn, cantaloupes. There was a lot.
Well, that's really good.
Yeah, yeah, a lot. I mean, again, and that was all formed in the basis of that unconditional love.
Right.
So,
Wow, that's fantastic.
yeah.
What was challenging for you as a child?
Finding my place. Yeah, my sister, and I love Kathy. She's great, but boy, she was pretty mean to me when I was a kid. Dumped me out of the shopping cart, tied me to a tree, and was going to run away.
Oh, wow.
You know. Yeah, I think you know, just finding that place as a young person. You know, I wasn't a popular kid in school. I was friends with everybody in school, but you still seeking that place, and you know, I found it. Who I was then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about your teenage years?
The same thing. You know,
Same
you
thing,
just
more the
you
same?
transform into what to how you fall into society.
Okay, so the people see you now.
Mhm.
They see who you are. Describe yourself as a teenager.
Beer, hunting. Yeah, beer and hunting.
And see, I hear camouflage, beer hunting and camouflage.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was you.
absolutely. There was always a gun in my truck,
Mhm.
hanging in the window. Weekends we're going to the cabin to hunt.
Mhm.
Drinking beer. Here's a great story. So I was 40 years old when I found out that my grandparents knew every time I emptied a bottle of old Granddad at the cabin.
Oh no.
40 years old. My grandma looked at me. She said, "You think you were pretty smart." Like,
But they kept replacing them, huh?
no, they didn't, because I had them replaced.
Oh, you replaced.
A
Okay.
guy that lived up from the cabin, I'd give him the money and he'd go buy another bottle. I thought, Grandpa never knew.
Right.
40 years old, I find out that every time he went to buy a bottle, he told Grandma and Grandpa. Every bottle.
Hilarious. That was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
They-
you're 48 today.
They kept that secret. You know, Grandpa never said a word about it. I
That's
drank a lot of old Granddad
I was
too.
gonna say, but that was a good amount of bottles there.
Yeah.
Grandparents are awesome.
Yeah.
I remember the one year we went on vacation with my brother. He stayed back for football practice. He had a party at the house,
Mm-hmm.
and my grandparents came over, and they shut the party down. Never said a word to my parents. They took it to their grave. It was my
Wow.
brother that told my parents.
Yeah, my grandma, you know, like I said, I was 40, so 8 years ago. She's going to be 93 in 2 weeks. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
What a gift to
It is.
have her for
It
so
is.
long.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, so that's you as a teenager.
Yeah.
Move into young adulthood. You graduate high school.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you do?
Worked a few jobs. Went in the Army. Had kids.
Now, how long were you in the Army?
3 years.
And where were you stationed?
Germany.
Did you enjoy Germany?
I loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you learn a lot over there?
Learned a lot about life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how other cultures aren't like the United States.
What was the biggest difference?
I would say it was, you know, they don't look at alcohol as a problem. It's part of life. They don't look at nudity as you know, something that's to be ashamed of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's very free. You just very free. And yet, you know, here we are, the land of the free, and most people aren't free.
That's a very wise observation there.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 years in the Army. What did you do in the Army?
I worked on helicopters.
So you were a mechanic?
I was.
Oh,
Helicopter mechanic.
excellent.
Yeah.
So when you got out, how did that training help you?
it wasn't viable for me to get a job in aviation outside of the Army.
Okay.
I tried, right down the road from here is ag rotors, and there's two different helicopter spray applicators in Gettysburg, and my training in the Army didn't help with anything to get a job with them. And for 3 years, all I did was turn wrenches on helicopters every day, day and night.
Wow. So now what? Now what do you do?
Well, I kept looking, and I found a job. I had a couple odd jobs, and I got out in '94, and in the summer of '94, I got out. Summer of '96, I walked into Gerard Daniel and put an application in, and I got hired there. So it was 22 and some odd years ago. And I started running a cleaning line. But within a year, my maintenance background in the military was able to move me into a maintenance position within the company.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. So at that point, what I did in the Army helped me get off of a line and become something different. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And where did that take you?
I was in maintenance for 7 years, and I moved into a leadership position, to a lead man position, and from there now I'm a project manager and do sales and all kinds of good things. For now,
You travel?
I do.
You travel a lot?
I do.
You do. What is one of my favorite clients of yours?
Oh, Orange County. Yeah, Orange County Ironworks. Like, yes,
He
Orange
knows
County
he
Ironworks.
knows the Orange County chopper guys. It's so cool.
I met Paul Tuttle Sr. and Paul Tuttle Jr. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is pretty cool.
Good stuff. Okay, so other than your training in the Army,
Mm-hmm.
not really helping you too much when you first got out, what did you struggle with returning back to civilian life?
My marriage.
Okay, now were you married before you left?
Before I went to Germany, yeah. I got married. I went to basic training, my advanced training. When I came back, I got married, so that I could take her and Kayla along to Germany with me.
Okay.
Josh was born in Germany, and when I got back, yeah, that was the thing I struggled most with was my marriage, because what I learned later was it wasn't about. I didn't get married because of the love of the person that I married. I got married because of Kayla.
The love of the girl.
Yeah, the little girl that
Of the
needed a
girl.
daddy.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, you got Josh out of it.
Mm-hmm.
He's an awesome guy. He's a guy. He's not a kid. I was going to say kid. He's not a kid. I love him. He's awesome.
Yeah, he'll be 25 next week. So yeah, he's a
All these birthdays hitting so
Yeah.
close. Now, how old is Kayla?
27.
So you have Josh, who's going to be 25. Okay. So you got out of that divorce. I mean, out of that marriage.
Yep.
How long before we met our new?
2 years,
Okay.
something like that.
And how long were you married to her?
Yeah, I'm on camera, right? For 12 years, 13 years.
Okay. And you have how many children with her?
2.
And who are they?
Hunter and Shaylin.
How old is Hunter?
Hunter is 17,
And Shaylin?
15.
All right.
And we're going on her birthday to get her permit so she can begin driving at 16. The day she turns 16, we're going.
She is very responsible.
She is.
So I don't think you have a
Yeah.
worry in the world with her. Great kids. You have
Yeah.
wonderful kids.
Yeah.
Wonderful kids.
All 4 of them.
Yes.
They're amazing.
Fantastic. So they are all gifts in your life.
They are.
All right. So you end your second marriage.
Mm-hmm.
What were you struggling with then? I mean, this is around the time that you and I met.
What I was struggling with then was life.
What about life was so hard? I mean, you said you were raised with unconditional love. You loved to hunt. You loved your beer.
I didn't. Again, it was finding that place.
Mm.
You know,
You were
I
still
knew.
struggling.
I knew. I knew the things that made me comfortable, and hunting was my escape.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. That's all I did.
Right.
You know, the last, say from 2001 or 2 until 2012, my life was devoted to having a job so I could go hunting.
Oh wow.
You know, we spent every weekend, every vacation day, every holiday hunting, or on the Chesapeake Bay, hunting deer, whatever.
Now, did you hunt with your kids?
Mm-hmm.
So that was family time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Because I mean, you saying it was your escape.
It was an escape from my marriage.
I was gonna say from the marriage, not the kids. That's a big difference. Huge difference. So she would stay home, and you take the kids and go hunting,
Yeah.
or fishing, or
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, do all of your children still have a love for hunting and fishing?
Josh does. Hunter, was fishing this year still, and he's talked about getting his license again to hunt this year. He hasn't hunted for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Shaylin went hunting with me a couple times because she knew that the boys always got something good to eat when we went hunting. So we went out. We went deer hunting. I remember the first time we went deer hunting, and we sat there for 15 minutes. She's like, "Can we go get some food?" And I'm like, "Really?" We went and got food. Yeah, that's why she wanted to hunt.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you've bonded with your kids. It wasn't your kids you're running from.
Correct.
It's the marriage.
Yeah.
What made you finally step up and say, "I'm done. No more running."
It was, for many years I said that once the kids were out of high school, I was done with my marriage. But it got to a point where I couldn't wait because I was done. I was just done.
You were checked out.
I was done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you make that decision to end the marriage.
Yeah.
What else unfolds for you? Because you're not the same man today as who I met in that
Right.
circle.
Right. So if we look at, and this is where my spiritual journey started.
Mm-hmm.
It was December 20th, 2012, and I was flying back from California. It was in Cupertino, California for a job. I was flying back on the 20th. I knew when I got back at midnight, we were hooking my truck up to the boat, and we were going duck hunting the next morning. And we did that. So now it's December 21st, 2012, the day of the shift. I didn't know what was happening. I just knew that day something didn't feel right. We went to the bay. Our blind filled up with water. Is no shit. I mean, this blind had 2 feet of clear space from the water to the bottom of the blind. That day we were standing in chest deep water in the blind. We got back to the truck, and my truck was sitting in the water. The bay came up that much that the porta potty was floating beside my truck. It was terrible. So I knew that something was changing, and I knew that something was changing with me.
Mm-hmm.
So for the rest of the month of December and January, I still hunted because that's what I did. It was the beginning of February. I told my ex-wife that I'm done. Actually, it was Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. This is over.
Josh was on his way to work and wrecked his truck, and some words were said, and I said, we're done.
Mm.
I went and got Josh, and I came back, and I reaffirmed that we were done. But it all started in December. Things were changing.
Mm-hmm.
So in February, I'm done with my marriage. In April, I was in St. Louis, and I chewed snuff for 30 plus years of my life, 28 to 30 years of my life, I've chewed snuff somewhere. I don't remember the numbers anymore. As every trip I had a log of snuff with me, and that morning I get out of bed, did my morning ritual, and I had a pinch of snuff in. I spit it out, I brushed my teeth, and I threw that whole log of snuff in the trash can. And when I'm in a hotel room, I always put the, do not disturb sign up. I pulled it off the door that morning knowing they would take and dump that can.
Mm-hmm.
I quit chewing snuff cold turkey after all those years. So that was in April. In May, Josh and I were in Oklahoma, and he pointed out how much of a dick I had been for the last couple weeks. And then it clicked that, well, yeah, I quit snuff, and I didn't tell anybody. I just quit.
Oh, you just stopped.
I just stopped.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
didn't say a word, and I just stopped. So then I started to look at that, and now we're in Oklahoma. We're in Muskogee, Oklahoma, the day after Moore, Oklahoma got leveled by the tornado. So we have all this energy of the tornado that went through Oklahoma. We're in Oklahoma. Muskogee is on the Trail of Tears. So all this energy, and I was done. I was done with that. I was done, completely done with everything at that point. I was gonna quit. I did quit. I sent our vice president an email. I said, I'm done. I quit. But I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm getting a flight. I'm coming home.
It's over.
He emailed me back and he said, please rethink this. It's not good for you. It's not good for the company. So then my next message was to my mom, Katie Anna. She said, when you get home, sit in a circle. Now, I had been Reiki attuned 20 years ago. Went to Reiki shares, went to Reiki retreats with her. But at some point, I slipped back into being a 20-some-year-old person and just hunted and fished and drank and did the normal things. But the energy was always something of who I was. I didn't know that. So I sat in that circle, and you were sitting right beside me, and I knew that day that that's where I needed to be. It was that circle was the only place I could be, because I was done with everything else.
Right.
So I drank the lemonade.
Now, when you say circle, was funny because I talked to my dad today, and he says, Jude, I watch your show. I don't always understand everything y'all are talking about, but I watch it, and it's very interesting. So when we say circle, if my father was watching this, how could we explain circle to him?
So circle is a group of people sitting in a circle, and it's facilitated typically by one person. Some circles you get readings. Some you just have discussions. Many times there's a meditation with it.
It's a safe place.
It's a safe place. It's a sacred place.
It's a safe, sacred place of love and support, and whatever needs to come up for you, for your healing and for your greatest good, comes up. And you're surrounded by people that love and support you. And it could be, like with Lloyd and I, it was the first time we ever met. But I knew leaving there that he was my brother.
Yeah.
So.
I thought she was an angel.
I've proven him wrong. No. So that's what a circle is, and it can, it's called many different things, but, he very quickly said his mother is Katie Anna, and when you sit in a circle with her, you're going to receive truth.
Absolutely.
You're going to receive truth and tools to help you move forward.
Yeah.
So you said you were Reiki attuned years and years ago.
Yeah.
So that just kind of laid dormant.
Yep.
But it's like riding a bike. It's not something that you forget.
Correct.
When you use it, it all starts to come back. So at what point in your journey, you sat in that circle, and let me tell you, he was an energy junkie. He still is. Any circle he can get himself in, he's in. He's leading them now. So from that first circle to who you are now, what have you done to get to this point? It's been a lot.
It has been a lot. You know, you start out with finding your place, and it's, yeah, in 43 years, you know, I finally found my place, and knew there was so much more. Yeah, I always knew there was more. I grew up, you know, going to church. It didn't resonate with me. The first book that I read, and because I questioned, you know, many of the beliefs that I had, because they didn't resonate. So the first book that was handed to me was the Jesus Code, and I'm like, started reading it, and things made sense, because you don't have to have a religious belief to believe in Jesus. You know, Jesus to me is my brother. Jesus and Buddha are brothers. I remember in the beginning, again, my grandma, she's 93. She's going to be 93. and I would post things on Facebook, and she'd be like, you post a little more about Jesus and a little less about Buddha? I'd be like, Grandma, they're brothers. They both have the same thing. They teach love.
Yep.
That's it.
Absolutely.
There's no other message. They teach love.
And when you started on this and you were receiving and getting the education and reading your books, were you able to show up and be the spiritual being that you are and circle with us at work?
No. I lived two different lives for a very long time. I've you know, at work I was somebody different because, again, here I am, this guy that hunted and fished for, you know, 30 years of my life, and one day I woke up, well, actually I was in a meditation, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done hunting. And of course, Mom and Alan were like, no. Oh yeah, I'm done hunting. I tried it 5 times that year. I went out the first day of goose season, the first day of duck season, early duck season, first day of archery, the first day of regular duck season, and the first day of rifle season. And every one of those days I knew I wasn't where I wanted to be. Every one of them.
Now, did you lose friends
I did.
when you made that change?
Most of my friends were my friends because the bond that we had was hunting and fishing.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it even came to a point where many of them I didn't break bread with. Yeah, it wasn't who we were. Some of them have found their way back. You know, some never left. You know, some of you know, I got one friend that he thinks I'm crazier than hell, but if I ask, he shows up. You know, yeah, and that's cool. It's, even though our bond was that, there was a bigger bond that we didn't see.
Right.
So, and I think he'll be here this weekend. So, which is
great.
cool.
We'll talk more about that later. We'll talk more about that later. Okay. So, as you were losing some of your friends, was that difficult for you?
Absolutely.
Because why?
Because that's what I knew. It was comfortable.
Yeah.
And they were the people that I knew for 30 years.
And did you expect that bond to go deeper than just hunting and fishing?
I didn't know.
You didn't know?
Yeah. I didn't know what was there.
Right.
And most of them, you know, if I text, we'll talk back and forth. But some of them, you know, I won't even return a text, and that's fine. You know, it is what it is.
Right.
And it, very early on, I learned that not everybody comes along.
Yeah.
And that's not even, you know, not even friendships, but even interpersonal relationships. Not everybody comes along.
Yeah.
You know, this is a journey that steps away from the traditional thinking because of social programming and, you know, the things that we're born into. You know, when we remember who we really are, it's not many times socially acceptable.
No, and I think many times we're seen and considered naive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that can be challenging,
Yeah.
to say the least.
I had a conversation today, you know, it was 4 of us talking, and 2 people were asking me about crystals, and do all crystals have different things they can do for you? And I said, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And the 4th person, no, they don't. He said, they can't fix me.
Hmm.
I'm like, that's because you believe they can't fix you.
Right.
He's like, the only thing that can fix my knees is surgery. I said, that's your belief. I said, I know people that have healed their torn up knees from changing their way of life and doing yoga.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's like, they can't fix me. There's no way that there's anything that can fix me except for surgery. I said, and that's your belief.
Exactly.
And when you have that belief, nothing is going to fix you except surgery.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, there's people that look at what we do and they say, yeah, that can't work.
That's a bunch of hoo-ha.
I can tell you when I'm sitting beside works.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's talk modalities.
Yep.
You're a Reiki master.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Yeah. I've had this conversation. Yeah, I admire people that put all their titles there.
Mhm.
I'm a light worker. I'm a healer.
Mhm.
If you want to talk modalities, I do axiotonal alignment, angelic light weaving, Reiki. But as a healer, you know, I work with crystals. I'm a crystal healer. I'm just a healer. When I know, and this goes back. I've had people ask me, you know, about my credentials, and the best credentials I can tell you, I walked with Jesus 2,000 years ago in the desert. I know I'm a healer. I know that the same energy that flowed through him flows through me, flows through you, flows through you.
Mhm.
We all have it.
Yep.
We're all healers, and that's the best credential we need.
Amen.
We're healers.
Absolutely.
We all are.
Everyone is. Yes.
We all are. Every person that's incarnated today is a healer. That energy's there. Just have to open it up.
Mhm.
Gotta crack the eggshell
You got it.
and start peeling back the layers of the onion and keep peeling.
And keep feeling.
And
Exactly.
keep peeling.
Unravel, unravel, unravel. Oh.
And get out of the loop.
Yes. Definitely.
Off the hamster wheel.
This whole full
Find your
moon.
way.
This full moon has been kicking my ass,
Oh,
Lloyd.
this is a good
It's
full
been
moon.
kicking my ass.
I woke
Woo!
up this morning and my eyes opened and the full moon was shining in my bedroom and I'm like, good morning.
Good morning, moon.
I love you.
All right. So many people out there may not realize that from that first circle to who you are now, you went through not only transitions in your social
Mm-hmm.
life, but transitions within your spiritual life, because you found your physical teacher,
Mm-hmm.
Jen's father, Alan. And once you finally found him, what did he go and do?
He died.
He died. He left you.
He died. I was pissed off too. I was like, yeah. He would come to me to talk and I'd be like, no, go.
Yeah.
I was mad.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, through that, you've always been your mother's protector.
Mm-hmm.
Always. And from the eyes of someone observing what had gone on through all that, was you found a lot of comfort in supporting her, encouraging her, yet hiding behind her.
Mm-hmm.
How did that all happen, and how did it transition?
So, you know, when Alan was laying in that bed and he looked at me and asked me if I'd take care of her.
Of course.
And that's what I did.
You still do.
Yeah.
You do. And you do a very good job of it, sir. Okay, so you did an awesome job taking care of your mom and promoting her and getting her name and
Mm-hmm.
her work out there. At what point did you finally decide that it was time for you?
When I kept when I kept hearing the message, what makes me think I have tomorrow? Because I would always say, when Katie, Anna, and Leslie, when they have their work out there, then I'll do my work.
Right.
And I always heard that message, what makes you think you have tomorrow? And I believe I'm going to live till I'm 300 years old, so I got tomorrow. Why can't I live till I'm 300?
I would never say you can't.
I'm just saying,
Mm-hmm.
why can't I? So I do that. I believe I'm going to live to 300. But then there was a day that I said, you know what? It is time for me to do my work. So I started doing my work.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Yeah. And, my work started out with, we would go to shows and I would have 2 or 3 people get on my table. And most of those people were the elders, the teachers. And in the beginning, that's who I thought I was to be working on.
Mm-hmm.
Were the teachers and the elders of our community. And it was humbling for me to have, the most respected teachers that we had in our area get on my table. And again, I'd get 2 or 3 people on the table. And then one day, the elders stopped coming, and people that never even heard of a chakra got on my table. I'm like, okay, now I'm confused. And then I realized that my work's for everybody. The healing that I do is for everybody.
Absolutely.
And I think what cracked that shell open was, we were in Annapolis, at Illuminate Annapolis, and one of our friends, Saunders, she came to me. She said, I've got a guy that needs to get on your table, but if you can't explain to him what you do, he's going to walk away, and he needs to be on your table. And anybody that knew me knew that I was so ungrounded that I couldn't talk about what I did, because I'd be like, get on my table, I don't show you.
Uh-huh.
And if that's not good enough, you don't have to pay me.
That was your line, yep. That was your line every time.
I never had anybody not pay me. So once I was able to articulate what I was doing, and the key was that spin point, I knew when I put that spin point, I activated that spin point, it was creating new cells in that person's body from that energy. At that point, it's like, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. Now, I was still ungrounded. I was still flying as high as I could. Because it felt good. It felt good to not be here.
Mm-hmm.
There was still that disconnect.
Right.
And it wasn't until, 9 months ago that I found my ground.
Mm-hmm.
Truly. And that happened in Nashville, Tennessee. At Illuminate Nashville. You see in the strong bond here, there's a lot of Illuminates. Leslie and I have done a lot of Illuminates all over the East Coast. Thank you, Judy. But David, he came to me at Illuminate Nashville, and he watched me give a session. Many people watch me give sessions.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hey, this guy's going to want a session after we're done here. The person was on the table, gets off and leaves, and David asked me what I was doing. Went through the whole thing. He said, you mind if I tell you something? I said, no. I said, go ahead. He said, when did you lose nature? My initial thought was, who the hell are you? We talked for a little while longer. He said, you need to ground. He said, you need to ground. Physically ground. He said, not the etheric. He said, you've got to physically ground. Again, I'm thinking, who the hell are you? We talked for a while, and he told me, he said, I didn't know why I was coming here today, but when I woke up, my guides told me I had to come. He said, I walked through the door and I saw you. You're the reason I'm here. We had our conversation. He turned around, he walked back out the door. He left.
Mm.
Took my card. 3 days later, he sends me a text. He's like, "Your guides told me you're still not grounded." I texted him back. I said, "Yeah, it's February. It's 20 degrees. I'm not standing barefoot outside." He said, "You got any concrete floors in your house?" I said, "Yeah." "Stand there." He said, "It's a start." He said, "You can ground through the concrete." He said, "Do it." So I thought, well, if this guy took the time 3 days later to get a hold of me, maybe I should try it. So I started to ground, and a lot of things started to change.
What is it that your mother always says?
You're no earthly good when you're up here.
Yeah.
Gotta be grounded.
Gotta be grounded.
And it wasn't that the message wasn't there. I mean, I've been told to ground from the beginning. It's just that I had to find the right teacher to tell me that I had to ground. And that's who David is. He's my teacher. That day when he was standing in front of me, I didn't see that. But I do today. And we still, message back and forth, and he brings many things to light for many people. And reminds me every day that we're here to help other people ascend. It's what we were here for. It's what we came here for. To help the earth and help everyone else ascend.
I knew you were going to use that word ascend. Can you explain to somebody who doesn't have an idea, like my father, what is ascension?
So there was a time when I believed ascension was about leaving the physical body. I believed that in order to ascend from a lifetime, you had to turn this body to ash and go. And I still believe at some point in everyone's journey, that's how their ascension ends. But the ascension that we're talking about now is not about leaving the physical body. It's about bringing enough light into the physical body to change it. We're changing from the dense physical body we have to more of a light body. And that's the ascension that they talk about now. The earth is ascending. So, all these storms and all the earthquakes and the volcanoes erupting, it's Mother Earth cleansing. Mother Earth is ascending. Mother Earth is changing from the dense physical body to more of a light body. And so are her inhabitants. It's the age of Aquarius. Saint Germain. I love Saint Germain. He's the hierarch of the age of Aquarius. And that's what we're in now. So this 2,000-year cycle, and that ended in, the previous cycle ended in 2012. That's the shift that we felt. So in 2012, this age of Aquarius started. And in this 2,000-year cycle, every person in a human form is going to ascend over the next 2,000 years. So we may reincarnate from this lifetime, but somewhere throughout this 2,000-year cycle, every one of us is going to ascend. The ascension we're talking about today, and it's happening rapidly, it's coming in so fast, these energies, and the moon energies you're feeling, it's all about this ascension. And grounding will help all of it. Get outside and stand in that grass.
So Megan wants to know how the grounding changed you.
The grounding changed me because it allowed me to bring more light into my body. Grounding's not a new thing. Grounding's something that up until 65 years ago, everyone was grounded. Our homes, we walked on wooden floors. Our shoes had leather soles. Many people walked barefoot everywhere they went. In the 50s and 60s, we put rubber soles between our feet and the earth. And we disconnected humanity. And that disconnect is where we are today. And that's part of the session I do, is to reconnect.
Yes. Before you get into that, because I'm going to ask you to describe your session. Megan, what I can say from watching Lloyd and having the honor to watch the transition that he's been through, is when he started to ground, he could very easily verbalize all the information that he has. he is an amazing teacher. He always has been, but since he's been able to ground everything, it just flows out of him. There's no nervousness, there's no hesitation, there's nothing. He just opens his mouth and it comes out. So that's the biggest difference I've seen with him being able to ground.
Yeah.
So to your axitonial alignment session, what could someone expect getting on your table? What is it about? What does it do?
It's about reconnecting the etheric and the physical body to the grid lines of the earth and the universe. So, everything's connected, and we've become disconnected over eons. But in this lifetime, in the last 50 or 60 years, all humanity's become disconnected. And we won't get started on that, because there's sometimes I question whether or not someone knew that if we put rubber soles on shoes, the medical community would be able to get more money, because if you're not grounded, when you ground the physical body, inflammation leaves your body. Illness needs inflammation to grow.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't give it a place to grow, you don't become ill.
Right.
So, is there someone somewhere that knew that if we disconnect humanity, there's money to be made? Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
Right.
We won't discuss that right now.
That's for
so-
another show.
So the axiotonal alignment, there's grid lines on the head that are activated. There's spin points in the body that are activated. Grid lines on the body are activated, and then everything is balanced and reconnected. The chakras get cleared and balanced, and the end of the session is tying everything back together and reconnecting the physical and etheric body, the grid lines, to that earth grid and the universe grid.
So physically what they'll experience is you activating spin points,
Yep.
which is like acupuncture points.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a light touch.
Yep.
Those of you that may have experienced Reiki or other hands-on modalities, this one isn't so much hands-on.
Right.
It's a lot of activating pressure points, spin points, and then working above the body.
Yep.
And clearing. So
Yep.
angelic light weaving is involved.
Mm-hmm.
You've infused it with that.
Yep.
And I know the more comfortable I got with the axitonial alignments, the more there's barely a session that goes by that I don't use some part of it, that I'm guided to use it. Because you're right, it's happening at a rapid pace, and more people
Yep.
are looking.
Yep.
And making that connection for them helps them clear what they need to clear and allow more light to come in. So it's really something amazing.
Yep.
And how much is an axiotonal alignment session?
The full session is an hour, and it's $100.
Okay, so that's pretty much what we want to talk about with your healing.
Mhm.
Now you do shows, you don't have a problem, you do your thing, you can talk about it. I remember the first show where a man made you describe
Mhm.
every step of your session
Yeah.
while you were giving it to him. And it was painful for you to do that. And now, again, with the grounding and everything, it just flows right
Yeah.
out of you.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the name Etheric Connections, because before the shop, that's what your company was called, you and Leslie. Etheric Connections, where did it come from?
Guidance.
Yeah?
I think I ask everyone, what do you think we should name it? And people gave us recommendations, and that etheric connection is just what I kept hearing. Because most of my work is done in the etheric field. Leslie's an animal communicator. She's going into the etheric to get that information. And we're connecting, so it's like etheric
Perfect.
connections. It's who we are.
It made sense.
Yeah.
Perfect. How has your life changed since April?
So, yeah, and it
Quickly,
and it-
for anyone who has never seen the show, Leslie is Lloyd's wife.
yeah,
Number 3, she's a keeper. She isn't going to go anywhere.
Leslie is my beloved.
Exactly. And you've been married how long?
2 years, 2.5 years. It was April, or May 26, 2016.
Good job. Good job. Okay, moving right along.
Neither of us knew that the last time, so we were okay.
It was all right. Okay, yes. How has your life changed since April?
So in April, Leslie and I have talked about having a healing center for a very long time. I've talked about having a healing center since 6 months after sitting in my first circle. I said I was going to have a healing center. In April, we were in Myrtle Beach with Bill Stradesky. He's one of our crystal papas. And there was an emerald that Bill, we walked in the store and Bill said, this is going home with you. And we didn't know much about it. We didn't know why. We didn't know, but he kept talking about prosperity and that it was going to be the center of our healing center. 4.5 hours later, we made the decision to take the emerald home. That was on a Monday. Sunday. Monday we drove home. We put it in our living room. Saturday we got on an airplane and flew to Sedona. And again, we knew that we were going to have a healing center. There was never any doubt that we would have a healing center. The last day of the retreat in Sedona, they showed us a crystal shop and a healing center. It's like, well, shit, there's the path. Because I always knew, I always had a limiting belief that if we opened a healing center without clients, we were going to fail.
Right.
So for me, there had to be something to bring people in.
Uh-huh.
No matter what that was, there had to be something. Crystal shop made a lot of sense. And that was in April, the last week in April. Middle of May, we got a resale license. The end of May, we went to our first wholesaler and started buying crystals. We still didn't have a shop. We just knew we were going to have one. We were going to have a crystal shop and a healing center. The end of June, we started selling crystals at shows. The end of June, we found a building in Spring Grove. We thought this is the perfect place. Mid-August, we made the decision that it wasn't the perfect place because it was going to cost us a boatload of money to get it open. And 2 days after breaking our energy from that building, the previous owners of the crystal shop we have now sent Leslie a message and said, we know you've got a place, but if you know anybody else, we're interested in selling our business.
That's because after the one in Spring Grove, you found another one in West York.
In West York,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah. And it was like, we knew we were doing this and we knew it was going to happen. We still didn't know the path. So when that offer was made to us, it was like, this is perfect. And then we found out the room that we're sitting in became vacant 2 weeks before they made the offer to us. So this building was leased to 2 different people.
Mm.
We told them yes, mid-April or mid-August. They wanted to retain ownership till January 1st. I said, well, my thought is, if we could do the paperwork by September 1st, we would. But I know we can't, so let's go with October 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So we agreed to that, and the month of September was a lot of work. Even up till the weekend before we opened, we were here till well after midnight. But see, the night before we opened, the clock tower struck midnight as we locked the door.
Oh, wow.
We locked the door. We knew the next day the store was opening. And we didn't have any expectations other than sharing our love. We knew that people would come. And we knew that by having the crystal shop, we'd be able to build a basis around our healing.
Mm-hmm.
it's been 3.5 weeks, and the first week, there was a little bit going on back here. Second week it was more. Last week there was more, and it's building. Workshops, we're doing workshops every week, and people are showing up. New people. And we know that the energy is just going to continue to compound itself. It's been pretty cool. If anybody would have told me that in our first month we would have moved some of the pieces that we've moved, I've been like, I don't think so. It's between Peter Jarvis and Bill Stradesky reminding us that we're fosters and shepherds. Because I can tell you, in May, I questioned whether I could sell a crystal because I wanted all of them.
Right.
I love them. The energy is just, I love them. And it took a lot of conversations that I can continue to love them even after they leave. That the love that I put into the crystals just grows, and it builds that grid throughout the world.
And that's why all the people that know you and Leslie and love you and Leslie knew that there was no way this was going to be anything other than successful because of the love that you have for the crystals and the love for the work that you do, not just the crystals.
Right, it's all of it.
I mean, like you said, the crystals were a way to get people in the door, but the passion and love that you have for your healing work, and Leslie has for her healing work, it just oozes out of this place, and that's what's drawing the people in. So, do you have anything special going on this weekend?
We do. We have our grand opening this weekend. So the 27th and 28th. Doors are going to open at 10 a.m. both days. We're going to have some pretty phenomenal healers joining us. Judy's going to be here. We've got Sally and Stacy coming in to do massage Saturday. We have Wilhelm, who will be here. Mary is going to be here doing readings. Will Nutter is going to be doing readings. Lorena Crow will be here Saturday doing readings, and Katie Anna will be here Saturday doing readings.
Nice.
Sunday, we're going to have Judy back and Stacy and Will Nutter, Lorena. Leslie and I are going to have some limited time on Sunday that we're going to be offering readings and sessions. And there'll be aura photography on Sunday as well.
Nice.
So
if somebody wants to book a session, do they call in?
they can
Or
call.
is it first come, first serve?
They can call ahead of time.
Okay.
Once we get to Saturday and Sunday, it's first come, first serve.
Okay.
Phone number is 717-968-4241. Took me a while to remember that.
You got it
I
now.
got it now.
Okay, so let's talk cost.
Mm-hmm.
What's a session going to run?
All sessions are $25. They're 15 minutes. We're going to actually have 20-minute blocks because we all know that it's very difficult to put somebody on and off the table in 15 minutes.
Very difficult.
So we're going to allow that 20-minute space. It's $25 a session. Or reading, for whatever service you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have specials throughout the day. We're going to have discounts, some door prizes. Everybody's going to get a gift from Leslie and I. So,
Nice.
yeah.
I loved when I saw on Facebook today that you had a Lloyd's birthday special for Euphoria Light. Did you have any takers?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't checked.
Yeah, I love that.
It's like Euphoria Light's one of my new loves. I met, and again, Euphoria Light is part of this journey too, because I met Euphoria Light in May.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say that I was Can't say that I was good where it came to looking at the money because I didn't care. I knew that
You
I had to have it.
Yep.
And it's something I work with in sessions. You know, I do a euphorolite session, and it's pretty amazing because the medicine people come in and work with me. So to have that energy come in, and I've never had that energy come in with any other session I've done, other than working with the euphorolite.
Wow.
Some pretty amazing things have happened with euphorolite, and you know it's all about that connection to Earth. It's it's newly discovered. It comes from the sacred center of the Earth, the place at the Lakota. You know, hold as the sacred center of the axis mundi of the Earth, and it's pretty amazing stuff.
And it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And every piece is completely different.
Yes.
You know, a quartz crystal looks like a quartz crystal. Euphorolite, man, it can look like anything. There's many different minerals, and energetically, it's a rock star.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I work with other crystals with the euphorolite. It loves dambarite. Dambarite and euphorolite together is amazing. The newest combination that I found is auralite and euphorolite. And that's like love at first sight. So, yeah.
So what do you think the future holds for Lloyd Runkle? How soon are we going to be saying goodbye to our 9 to 5?
As soon as the universe tells me it's time.
Okay.
It could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be 3 years. I keep telling my boss that in 3 years I'm done regardless.
Okay.
In 3 years I'll have 25 years with the company. 25 years in one day. On July 22nd, 2021, I know is my end date.
Okay.
Just like everything else, there's a beginning date and there's an end date. For me, that's my expiration date for that job.
Okay.
I believe 50% of my life at that job was enough. Not that I don't love what I do. Just I know that's not what I want to do the rest of my life.
And you show up there as the holy man that you are now.
I do.
And it's made a difference
In several people's
in
lives.
several people's lives there. Fantastic. Yes. All the shift is about being true and authentic.
Yeah.
And you are a wonderful example of true and authentic, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Any words of wisdom for our new friends that are just starting out on this journey?
Ground.
Ground. I need to go do some of that tonight.
Learn to listen to the subtle messages. There's so many messages that come in. Whether it's a message on the wind. I can remember, a year ago or so, outside, actually it wasn't even that long ago, it was maybe February, maybe when I started to ground.
Grounding is the key.
Because you're always listening for that voice, that next step of guidance. So I was outside one night, I'm sure I had the dog out, and the leaves were blowing, the wind was blowing, and I kept hearing the message, I am the wind. And for a couple of days, I am the wind, I kept hearing it. So I started listening to the wind. Then you could hear everything. There's so much. So just listen. It could be a butterfly landing on your finger. It could be a crystal that makes your hand vibrate when you walk into a shop. Listen to the messages and ground.
And trust.
And trust. You got to trust.
You got to trust.
You got to believe. If nothing else, believe that you're the healer that you were born to be. Believe that the same energy that ran through Jesus runs through you. We're all healers.
Yes.
And don't let anybody tell you any different.
And if they do, don't listen to them.
Right. Ask them why. Why can't that be?
Right.
You know, I've had this conversation, and we're just going to jump back here for 1 minute, that I can't retire when I'm 50. And it's like, just because society says we have to work till we're 72 or whatever the hell it is, and then retire, and maybe have 20 years of life, why?
Right.
Why does it have to be like that?
It
doesn't.
Nope. it
We can
doesn't.
we can choose right now to be whoever we want to be. If you want to wake up tomorrow and say I'm going to become an astronaut, wake up tomorrow and become an astronaut. You don't need the rocket to get there. As my friend Bill would say, there's a crystal for that. Got a rock for that. He can take you there. I might have some of his tools too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jen, do we have anything?
No questions.
No?
No questions.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up, and I want to thank you again for taking your birthday evening and spending it with us.
You know, I thought it was a good time because the question kept coming up, when are you going to do this? And I looked and saw the 24th was a Wednesday, and it's like, hey, it's right before we want to have our grand opening. Because all this came about after we made the decision on this building, this shop. So sometime in August we decided on this.
Mm-hmm.
Just works out. Yeah.
Yeah.
48 years ago today.
48 years ago.
Put that little spark inside his body.
And we're all grateful that it did.
Can I say it? And we're making that bitch glow.
Yeah, you are. Awesome. Well, come on out to Etheric Connections Crystal Shop and Healing Center this weekend. What's it?
I'm going to get a lecture about that one.
You're going to get a lecture about it? Okay. And we're going to have a special edition Friday night show to make up for missing last Wednesday. We're going to be out visiting Debbie in Temple, PA. So we'll have
Love Debbie.
information up about that tomorrow. And thanks for joining us tonight. Give your happy birthday wishes to the birthday boy. And don't forget you're awesome.
And just be love.
That's right. Thank you. Have a good night.